Hey, Merfolk and Soulherder fans, I'm Joe. Thanks very much for joining me today. If you'd like to support my channel, please check out the link above to my Patreon page. I'm back with a replay of round 3 of a Modern League with Soulherder. Currently 2-0 after beating Infect and then beating Paradoxical Outcome combo with Urza and Saheeli. Opponent is on the play for this third round. And not knowing what we're playing against, this seems sort of fine. There are a lot of creature decks in Modern. We're going to be ramping with Noble Hierarch. We can continue to hit our land drops with Eternal Witness. Potentially overload this Winds of Abandon. Path to Exile can help slow them down. Seems reasonable. I mean, one of the requirements that I have for typically keeping an opening 7 is lands and card drawing 2-drop. Icefang Coatl, Coiling Oracle. But in this case, we get to play Eternal Witness on turn 2, at least getting back a land, which, as I mentioned, is going to be great since we do want to get up to 6 mana here. Opponent, I think they mulliganed a bit, so I assume they're probably on some kind of combo deck, maybe like Tron or something. But Gemstone Mine seems to point towards what is even the name of that deck? Neobrand, I would say. Could also be Ad Nauseam, I guess. Potentially like Living End, old school Living End. All right, so definitely Neobrand Neobrand after they play that Waterlogged Grove. Second Hierarch is interesting because it can potentially continue ramping us towards this overloaded Winds of Abandon, although I should say that that's less of a concern at this point since they're really not going to play out that many creatures. So rather than tap out for Eternal Witness, I chose, this is my only interaction, I'm going to leave up Path for now. I can afford to get in with the Hierarch because I've got mana with this Windswept Heath. Alright, so there's a Serum Visions. And the opponent's just passing, so not the most explosive start for the opponent on this mulligan to 5. Coatl is nice because we needed that kind of card drawing acceleration. Play out that snow-covered plains. Go ahead and grab a land back with Eternal Witness. Get in with a Hierarch. Oh, wait, I chose not to, actually. Of course, that makes sense, since it would be nice to be able to flash in the Coatl on the end step. I was thinking I might have gotten in since I would just need 1 for the Path to Exile, but it's wise, to leave up blue and green for the Coatl. So opponent hits their 4th land. They exile 2 green cards to be able to cast Allosaurus Rider, and it looks like they're going off here. So before we get priority, of course, they get to cast their next spell. And it looks like it's going to be Eldritch Evolution. They're going to go and get Griselbrand. Now, they have to pay 7 life to draw 7 cards. And in response to that, I'm going to Path to Exile. Now, we saw that they did pitch an Autochthonis, Autochthin Worm. This is a key part of the combo because they need Nourishing Shoal. Oh, they pitched a Nourishing Shoal as well. So they need Nourishing Shoals and Autochthin Worm to be able to gain life and keep drawing cards with Griselbrand. So with both of these exiled, they've only got a few of those left. Hopefully, the opponent, they get to draw 7 more cards here. Hopefully they don't hit that combination. And it looks like they didn't, and Path to Exile actually gets to exile Griselbrand. So at this point, they have 14 cards in hand. 1 land left, and they're going to pitch 2 more. We see Once Upon a Time and Chancellor. To get an Allosaurus, they're going to Summoner's Pact. That's aggressive. For another Allosaurus Rider. And they exile another Autochthin Worm. And then they cast Life Goes On. A creature did die this turn because they sacked it for the combo. So they gained 8 life. Back up to 11. I guess... I think they could have cast that. Maybe they drew that in with a Path on the stack, and they drew it afterwards. But yeah, this card would have let them continue going off with Griselbrand. So they're going to pass the turn with 7 cards in hand, 2 Allosaurus Riders on deck. If they have Neobrand, Neoform, or Eldritch Evolution, they're going to be able to go off again next turn. It actually looks like we are going to get to overload this Winds of Abandon, which I don't know whether anybody's done that ever against Griselbrand. Or no, what is this? This is a Neobrand. So I am going to just go for that opportunity right now. Notice that it's turn 4. I think we did this against Infect as well. So turn 4, Winds of Abandon. For people who are questioning Noble Hierarch's value in this deck, maybe you need to be running Winds of Abandon so that you can overload it on turn 4. See how cool it is. Opponent gets no lands because they only have 1 basic island in the deck. So now, we're sort of sitting pretty. We're going to get in for 4 with double Exalted. Again, Hierarch just doing a great job. Opponent here has to pay 4. They play a tap land. They go for another Summoner's Pact, another Allosaurus Rider. But we've got the Eternal Witness to get back a path. And yeah, really effectively dealing with the opponent's creatures here. Oh, I forgot to mention, I specifically did not fetch blue mana so that the opponent would not bring in more counter spells. If they just think I'm on some kind of value deck here, because I've only played white cards and green cards, if they think I'm on some kind of green-white value deck, then they're probably not going to bring in a lot of counter spells because, like, Pact of Negation, that kind of stuff, because I can't really interact with them when they're going off if I'm just a green-white value deck. So hiding the blue mana. And the opponent just scooped it up, so kind of a wild game 1 against a wacky combo deck. The fact that I was able to get there with such a clunky hand is just pretty amazing. Winds of Abandon, once again, coming to the rescue. I mean, exiling double Allosaurus Rider, it was pretty sick. I think I could have just exiled 1, cast a Witness, gotten back Path, and exiled the other. But I'm just not sure. It's just less efficient because getting rid of both with the Winds leaves the Eternal Witness in hand to then get back the Path to Exile. I can then, of course, Ephemerate to continue getting them back. So, awesome game 1. Let's go ahead to game 2, where we get to bring in more counter spells, and I think things even get a little bit better in the matchup. All right, back for game 2 against Neobrand. It's a combination of Neoform and Griselbrand. Let's see what I took out. So you want to take out Worship here because they don't really win with attacking with Griselbrand. Of course, that's an option, but we've got, Coatls to Death Touch the Griselbrand, that kind of stuff. They're going to win by drawing their deck, playing Laboratory Maniac, and then casting like a Serum Visions or something like that. So alternate win condition means Worship doesn't really do anything. Winds of Abandon shouldn't do anything in this matchup, so I sideboarded it out. Sideboarded out my single Mull Drifter, just because the games aren't going to like late turns, so kind of dead in hand. Oof not doing anything, Rejection not doing anything, Vigor not doing anything. These guys, they don't have a lot of permanents, and they're going off at instant speed on their turn, so just too slow, not really doing anything. Guess I left in my main deck Deputy just because I needed creatures, I guess. So what are we taking out? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Gonna bring in 2 Disdainful Strokes because they can counter an Allosaurus Rider, which is a key part of their combo. Also, if they get to the point of hard casting a Griselbrand, Disdainful Stroke can stop that. What else? Having a hard time thinking here about what else I would have brought in. I don't have any Grafdigger's Cage in this. That would have been sort of a really great choice to sideboard in. Maybe I'll see my sideboard cards, but really we're going to lean hard on the counterspells. In fact, we're going to mulligan to counterspells if we don't have any in the opening 7. So this is about as picturesque as an opening Soulherder hand can be. We're going to fetch Temple Garden, Snow-Covered Island, play Coiling Oracle, hopefully hit a Plains, Ephemerate right away. Play Soulherder, just get the value train going. Eternal Witness gets back Ephemerate, gets the loop going, but you have to know your matchups. And this is a matchup where we absolutely need at least one counterspell. And that counterspell should be force because they could go off on turn 1. So if we mull to 6 and we draw a Disdainful Stroke, we'll probably keep, but we'd love to see a force. So let's go ahead and mulligan. I think opponent mulligan as well. And 5 lands, blue card, and force is a snap keep in this matchup. This matchup just operates on a totally different axis than most matchups. Counterspells win. So opponent kept 7. It's a little bit scary. Okay, there's another Oracle. It's kind of interesting. Better than another land, I guess, at this point. Okay, opponent, even though they kept 7 cards, not super fast. And another force. So do not play an Oracle in this spot. Keep up double counterspell. There's no question about this. Like, you can't argue with me. It's 100% incorrect to play out a Coiling Oracle. If you can leave up double counterspell against Neobrand, you're gonna win the game. And so yeah, it's just locked up at this point. They can't win. I mean, they could win, right? But it's like 1% or something. So here's an Allosaurus Rider. That would have been handled by a Disdainful Stroke. And here's an Eldritch Evolution. So yeah, we get to counter that thing. Opponent does have a Pact of Negation, so we see that they kept a pretty solid opening hand. They had 2 green cards to pitch for Allosaurus Rider. They had 3 lands for Eldritch Evolution and a Pact of Negation. We are going to counter this force, counter their pact though with this force, but it's going to make more sense to counter the Evolution. So when we cast this, we want to hit this spell, not this spell. You might think it's the same effect, right? The Evolution is going to get countered, but we want the pact to not get countered. So what's going to happen is we are going to counter the Evolution. This force resolves first. It and the Evolution both go to our graveyards. The pact and my original force are still on the stack. Without the force here, the pact will resolve. It will counter my initial force of negation, and then they'll be stuck having to pay 5 mana at the next upkeep, which they obviously can't do, and they would just lose the game immediately. So it's just a great example of sort of showing how powerful your counter spells are in this matchup. Do not tap out, do not play your blue spells if it will prevent you from being able to hold up double force of negation. So very, very easy games. They don't last very long. This is one of our best matchups, along with Infect, so I'm getting pretty lucky in this league so far. Currently 3-0. Infect, then Paradoxical Outcome combo, and now Neobrand. Let's go to the 4th round, where I'll, be obviously trying to get to 4-0. Leave your thoughts down below. Please subscribe to the channel. Please check out my Patreon page, and tune in for the next one. I'll see you guys there. Bye.